So in letter writing, basically we are discussing formal letters, how to write formal letter. Now we have discussed what are the business letters, what are the types of business letters, and how many types of formal letters are there. We are not discussing informal letters because in job sector, basically you need formal letters. Sometimes you need to write a job application, sometimes you need to write to the editor. So we are discussing all these things here. So we have also discussed how to write job application. Today we will discuss how to write a letter to the editor. So maybe there are some issues for which you need to write to the newspaper, to the editor. So for that, there is a particular format. So we are discussing this in today's class. Okay. So what is letter to the editor? So maybe in your school days you have done this, or maybe some of you have done this in practical life. Uh, so letter to the editor is basically a letter written to the editor of daily printed publications to highlight the social issues of concern. In other words, it is a formal letter sent to a newspaper or a magazine to discuss the problems from its readers. The format of the letter should be followed strictly. It can also be written to get it published either through conventional mail or electronic mail. Usually, letters are intended for publishing in newspapers and magazines. So, but sometimes published in other mediums like entertainment and technical magazines, radio and TV stations. So it is a printed format, what we can see in newspaper and sometimes also in technical magazines, in radio, in TV station. These platforms are also used to publish the letters. In general, writing a letter to the editor format will be seen in the first section of a newspaper or at the starting of a magazine. So basically, you can see if you are reading any magazine or newspaper, you can see these letters to the editors are usually in the very first page of any magazine or any newspaper. It describes for or against an issue or both. So there are some letters for some incident or some against some incident. So you can find for both the cases, the letters are there. It can be written to create a lot of community discussion and stimulate the interest of the news media. A letter to the editor has already been a feature of an American newspaper. Early American newspapers delivered many news reports and commentaries published by them in form of letters. So one American newspaper has one feature, letter to the editor. So early American newspapers delivered, there are many news reports, commentaries published by them in the form of letters. Now, editor read all submissions, but most will automatically reject letters. Now, if you are editor of a newspaper, you are getting you will get so many letters, so many letters for so many incidents. Now, you cannot publish all of them. Some of like some of that you need to reject because all of the letters are not like very much presentable and is not available for publication also. Rejected letters include personal attacks to individuals or a particular organization. So if you, like the editor, if you reject any letter, it maybe you face some problems, like there may be some personal attacks on individuals to or a particular organization, uh, like any statements you can get and unreasonably lengthy or submitted anonymously. So if it is like sometimes people do not mention their names, they publish the letter anonymously. So if it is like lengthy, then also the editor is not able to publish it. The larger the newspaper or magazine, there will be more competition for LTE space. LTE means letter to the editor. So if it is a very famous newspaper or magazine, so more people will want that their letters should be published there. That means you need to write a prominent letter in order to get printed. So if you want your letter to be published in such a good magazine, so for that your letter should be printed there. So submitting an LTE under a false name to citizen, an opponent can have important consequences. So if you are submitting any letter to the editor under a false name, you are not writing a proper name and you are criticizing any opponent, so you may face some problems in future. So all these things should be avoided. Okay, so these are some points like when you are writing a letter to the editor, like when an individual gets angry at something and wants others to know it, you can write at that time. If any individual thinks a specific issue or problem is very important, which needs to be spoken out. So, in today's society, there are a lot of problems going on. So, if you think that there should be some specific issue or problem which are very important and which needs to be spoken out, then you have to you can write any letter to the editor. An individual's group strategies to convince others to take a particular action. So, like you can write the letter to the editor. If you want to convince others for some particular action, you can write at that time also. So what are the other points? An individual wants to propose an idea to others. Individual wants to impact the public opinion. Individual wants to educate the general public on a particular matter. Same thing. Individual wants to impact policymakers or elected officials in a direct or indirect way. Individuals wants to publicize a group work and attract volunteers. Individual can write LT anytime to discuss public opinion, share your feelings about people, ideas, or inform the public on particular issues. An individual can increase the awareness of issues on which their organization is working. An individual can use LT to begin a conversation or important issues. Planned set of LT can inspire public interest and media coverage. And if newspapers unfairly disregard your news release. So these are some incidents where you can write the letter to the editor. The main thing is you want the public to get to know about what you are thinking or if you have an opinion about the society. Okay. How to submit a letter to the editor. So in general, every publication refers to get letters and other material through email. So in general, like every print publication refers to get letters and materials nowadays in email. Since everything they publish is available on a computer and printed form software, you can still send a postal letter but by its name, but its name consuming and you have to wait longer after it received for printing. So nowadays, if you want to send any letter to the editor, you have to send in email. But if you are sending in postal, you have to wait for a long time. Make sure to submit the letter in MS Word and as an email attachment to the editor. You can submit your letter after the publication of the original paper. Then editors will attempt to include your letter in the next journal issue. Only high quality and sound scientific principle letters will be published. So there will be many letters, but what the editors will think that this subjects are very serious, very important, and this letter is prominent, only those letters will be published. All submitted letters will be reviewed by the members of the editorial board. It depends on the editors on whether or not to publish the letter. The editors have the right to shorten and edit the letter if required. The editors has the authority if he wants to like make the letter short, or he wants to edit anything, he can do that. Now, how can be a letter to the editor accepted? A letter to the editor will get published depending on a certain extent on the publication. The New York Times probably receives thousands of letters a day, but only some will get printed. It is an example, like you may get thousands of letters, but only few of them will get printed. So, however, in small towns, newspapers may print every letter as it may get only 2 or 3 a day. In general, newspapers and magazines will publish letters that represent particular points or opinion on issues, well written and articulate issues and events. Most publications stay away from publishing attacks on particular people and libellous statements. So, like most of the newspaper magazines, they don't want to make any comments like which will be which the like it will like attacks on someone, any particular people or any statement. They generally avoid that. What is the format? The format is there should be one sender's address, then the date, and then the receiver's editor's address, then the subject of the letter. It must convey main purpose of the letter to the readers, so they will get interested in reading more. It should be mentioned in one line. Salutation should be there. Body should be there. So I'm repeating once again: sender's address, then the date, then receiving editor's address, then subject of the letter, the salutation, the body. It includes the matter of the letter, but it should contain 3 paragraphs. Paragraph 1, 2. Okay, and 3 is on there. But paragraph 1 will consist, uh, in general, shorter letters will have only 1 paragraph, uh, and like there are more possibility to get published. And so check your letter and edit the content if required. A newspaper may give more importance to a clear and well-written letter. So you should introduce yourself and write in brief the purpose of the writing of the letter, and it should contain the details of the matter. Paragraph 2. And you have to describe the issues and their significance. You should write simple language to make it understandable to most people. You may also include proposals about how to improve the situation. So basically, when the people are writing to the audience, the main aim is that the general people will understand their concern. That's why they're writing the letters to the editors. So because the letter is getting published in some newspaper, so that's why their language should be very simple, so that the common people understand. Now I will show you one sample letter. So it's letter to the editor on social problems. Now I want some student to read the letter. Nitin, Kavya, Mukesh, Satyabardhan, Pavani. All the students are requested to unmute themselves. Unmute yourself if you are in the class. Shravani, Seema Fatima, Srinidhi, Srikant, Varsha, Shiva. I want someone to read the letter. Venkatesh, Rajesh, unmute yourself. Hello. So this is a sample letter. Here you can see your Shilpa is, suppose Shilpa is writing the letter and he is a member of NGO called Sangram. Now they have to write the letter to the editor, public campaign to clean the Yamuna river. Now we know Yamuna river is very much polluted and very unclean. So they have, she is writing a letter to the editor so that the public get to know and they do something. Also the government. So you have to put the address first, then the date, then to whom you are writing. Suppose the editor, Hindustan Times, New Delhi. What is the subject? Need for a public campaign to clean Yamuna River. Dear editor, I am Shilpa S, a member of NGO Sargram. So you have to give your introduction. Who are you? I am writing to you in order to highlight the declining situation of the river Yamuna. Clearly stated the reason why she is writing the letter. The city of Delhi is polluted, is getting polluted water from the Yamuna river. The residents are being blamed for this. They pollute the river with mud, dirt, and garbage. The river is filled with waste materials, plastic, bacteria, chemicals. It is not in good condition for consumption. So, in the paragraph 2, you have to mention your subject, what about what you are writing. Therefore, I request you to highlight the issue in your newspaper and generate public interest. We all have to come forward to set up the plant in the area. Thanking you. You have to mention like what you want, what or whatever your suggestion in the third paragraph. You have to thank the audience or the readers, and then write your sincerely, then your name. This way, you can write the letter. This is the structure. You have to write the sender's address, then the date, then the receiving editor's address, subject of the letter, salutation, and body. You can note down the letter. I'm showing it here. You can also note down this structure. So, do you have any query regarding letter to the editors? Did you understand properly? Hello. Now, if I ask you to write any letter to the editor, can you write? Okay, so let me discuss the job application letter style also, because we discussed it in the last day. So this is one sample job application letter. You can write your name, your address, your city, state, and zip code, date, your hiring manager's name, your company's name. Then you have to mention the salutation. Then you have to write, I'm writing to express my interest. In this way, you can start it. First, you have to mention like express your interest for the job or for the company, because you are writing the job for their company. So if you express some interest, they will also get to know that you are interested for the job. You have to explain how you do hard about the job, like in newspaper or any online platform, whatever it is, you have to mention. Then in the second paragraph, you have to elaborate how you would help the company. Then in the third paragraph, you have to elaborate your most important accomplishment. And in the fourth paragraph, you have to explain why you want to work for the company. And then you have to end the letter with sincerely your name. This is a letter, the sample letter. I want you to tell me what you should fill in the gaps. That is A, B, C, D. What are the options you have to put it there? You can put your name, address, city, state, zip code here. Name, address, state, city, zip code. Then you have to put the date. Salutation is already given. Now this post is for application for the post of receptionist. This is the subject. So how you need to start? I noticed the advertisement for a receptionist in your website, and for which post you need to mention that. So in the autumn, I am going to study French and Spanish at university. Dash a job where my languages will be useful. So I need a job where my languages will be useful. That's why he is applying for that. Now, I'm presently working in a hotel. You have to Mention where you are presently working if you are working anywhere. Last summer, I worked as a waiter in a hotel restaurant. Furthermore, I believe the process, the personal qualities necessary for the post. I am friendly and reliable, and I'm comfortable with guests in French and Spanish. I'm closing my CV to and a reference from a teacher, and I will start work on 1st July. I look forward to hearing from you. This thing you have to mention, and then yours faithfully. You have to mention your name. So this way you can write the job application later. We had also discussed letter to the bank manager. So maybe suppose there are some reason you need to write any letter to the bank manager. So how can you write that? This is the format. Like more or less in all the formal letters, the format is same. First, you have to type the address of the sender, the date of the letter, designation, address of the receiving editor, then the letter subject, salutation, body, introduction, complimentary conclusion, name of the sender, sender's designation, everything you have to mention. So what is the letter to the editor format? You have to put the sender's address, then the date, then the receiver's designation, subject, then you have to put the salutation, then the body of the letter, and then your name. This way you can conclude. This is the sample letter to the bank manager. See how they have written. Like you have to be very to the point when you are writing the letter, sorry, to the bank manager. Okay. These are the points. So till this one, do you have any query? Any one of you, do you have any query? Okay, if you don't have any query, you can leave. We'll conclude the session here. Thank you for your interest.